Gotta go fast. Okay, let's get ready. We have a huge audience. Come on! Hurry up already! Hey guys, right before we start, I have two things I need to mention. Thing number one. Remember my Pokemon Direct video where I basically just sat on this couch, but it was really dark, and it was just me talking to the camera the entire time? It's not gonna be like this time. This time, there's gonna be, more edits and stuff going on the screen. There's gotta be a lot more stuff. I'm putting a lot more effort into this video, so stay tuned. And the second thing I want to say is spoilers, okay? I will start off by doing a little short spoiler-free summary thing, just in case some of you haven't seen the movie yet. But yeah, we're talking about the Sonic movie. I forgot to say that, though you probably already saw the title of the video. But yeah, talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. You don't want to get spoiled on this movie. You definitely want to watch it. So go out, watch it, then come back to this video. But I guess, okay, so basically spoiler free mini review thingy will be right here that I'm about to do, and then I'll go into more in-depth and spoilers and stuff. I'll remind you, the audience, when I get to the point where spoilers will be happening, but just be warned, spoilers, alright? Okay. Hey guys, it's time for the mini review. There won't be really anything else going on screen until the real review segment of the video, because that's like the real video part. This is just a little prelude for any of you guys who have not seen the movie yet. So, the Sonic movie, the most obvious thing to talk about is is Sonic himself. He's the bad design from the first trailer, but then they changed it to the good design. So, it looks pretty good. I actually really like this new movie design. I've heard some people say that they want the movie design in the games. I disagree with that, though. I think that the game design should be in the games and the movie design in the movies. That sounds good. So, let's see. Also, the other first thing that comes to people's minds is Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman. So that's pretty epic. Jim Carrey did an amazing job as Eggman, just gonna say that. And he was really funny, like, I swear. It's almost like they just set up the camera and were like, okay, be weird, Jim Carrey. Because, like, I don't know. Jim Carrey as Eggman, perfect choice. I don't think anyone could have done a better job. So, then, another thing is the soundtrack. The Sonic soundtrack has always been something I've always really liked, especially when Jun Sonoy does the music. Yeah, so I had high hopes for the soundtrack, and I wasn't let down. Some of the lyrical tracks, I had like some hip-hop and rap and stuff that, usually that's not my kind of music, but honestly, this movie had some pretty good songs in that style. I really liked the alt-punk lyrical songs that they had, and, but the main place where this movie's soundtrack shined was the orchestra, which I don't remember the name of the person who did it. I think it's Tom something. But yeah, he did an amazing work with the soundtrack. Especially, I remember some of the scenes with Eggman, like just Eggman doing some evil stuff, had some of the best tracks in the soundtrack, and the main theme, the main orchestra music, amazing. So then, the main thing in any movie, a movie is a way of telling a story, so let's talk about the story. The story, without going too in depth and spoiling it all, it's about some stuff. It's about Sonic and Tom going to San Francisco to get something, I won't say what, and Eggman trying to get Sonic's powers. That's the general premise of the story without going into spoilers. As I said, I'll be doing the real review right after this segment of the video. That's what the other 20 minutes, 15, I don't know. Yeah, the rest of this video will be the real review where I'll go more in depth on the story, so stay tuned. So yeah, that's kind of just what the story is like. It's really good. I know I summarized it very poorly, but yeah, it's a really good story. Had a surprising amount of heart. I expected it to just be more of like just a generic action story, but I don't know, man. It got the feels. Pretty good. So yeah. Oh, and I said Sonic and Tom going to San Francisco. I forgot to mention Tom is the police officer guy from the trailers, you know. Acted by I forgot the name of the actor. Dang it. Whatever. But yeah, he did an amazing job. And yeah, that's gonna be all for this little section. Just gonna warn you guys again, spoilers for this next part of the video where we're going more in depth into the story. Spoilers, alright? Yeah, spoilers. And I'm just gonna say it right now, the movie, I really liked it. It was a great movie, and I think a lot of you guys watching my channel would probably like it too, so you all should go and watch the movie before you watch this video, okay? Well, before you watch the rest of this video, just save it in your watch later, subscribe, and then come back after you've watched the movie. So, yep, let's get on with the real review. Enough stalling. So, in filmmaking, there's 3 very important things that we'll be going into today. So, we'll be going from the least important to the most important. Starting at number 3, which is presentation. This is like voice acting, the CGI, how well things are on screen, like how well things appear to the eyes and ears, stuff like that. So firstly, let's go over the CGI in this movie. Of course, the first thing that comes to mind is how bad Sonic looked in the first trailer, which was pretty bad. Just, wow. I don't know how they thought that was a good idea. But luckily for all of us, they fixed the design for the real movie, and it looks really good. Like, it's much better. That's because Tyson Hesse, or Hesse, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, who's actually been working to make Sonic stuff officially since like 2016, I think. I don't know. Was put onto the team to redesign Sonic, and now looks pretty good. One cool thing I noticed about the new design was the most obvious thing that you're going to notice is how it's 2 eyes instead of 1. But where it's 2 eyes, right where the eyes would become 1 connected eye on the game design, they made the hair for clothes, I don't know, white instead of blue right there, so that was pretty cool. Yeah. Also, I think they might have used practical effects or something for a lot of the Badniks and other Eggman machines and stuff, because like some of the robots and stuff look CGI and stuff, like realistic CGI, because you know it's 2020. But in some of the cars and vehicles and stuff will look like it might have been practical effects, so that would be pretty cool. Also, for the Eggman dance scene, they showed some of it in the trailers, but they didn't show any of the actually more interesting parts in the trailers, so that's another reason to watch the movie. There was some pretty interesting and fun to watch stuff in that. Speaking of Eggman, let's get into the acting, and I say speaking of Eggman because the first thing everyone thinks of when they think of the actors is Jim Carrey playing as Eggman, which he did, I think, almost as good of a job as the current video game voice actor Mike Pollock. Jim Carrey did an amazing Eggman. Just gonna say that, like, everyone knows that even if they haven't watched the movie yet. Everyone knew he was gonna do a good Eggman even before the movie came out. Like,
spot on. And also the other actors, I don't James Marsden, that was his name, for he acted Officer Tom in this movie. He did a pretty good job. Like, honestly, from the first trailer, I don't know, he didn't seem as good in the first trailer, but when you actually watch the movie, he did a pretty good job. And lastly, the only other main character, because there's only like 3 main characters, Sonic, Eggman, and Tom. Eggman again. Sonic, he was voice acted by Ben Schwartz, I noticed Ben Schwartz has been doing a lot of blue characters in animation recently. He plays the blue Duck, Dewey Duck, in the new DuckTales. He does whatever the blue Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles name is. He does the blue one in the new TV show. And now he's playing Sonic in the movie. I don't know. Coincidence? I think not. But either way, Ben Schwartz did an amazing job at playing Sonic. I think he's doing better than the current voice actor for the games, which is Roger Craig Smith. But Ben Schwartz didn't do quite as good a job as Jason Griffith or Ryan Drummond, in my opinion. Those 2 are still the best in my personal opinion. But yeah, Ben Schwartz did a very good Sonic. So, but also, at its heart, this movie is an action movie, and it's important for an action movie to have good action, and quite frankly, I don't know, there's not much I can say, except it did have good action. The action scenes were all very good, interesting, entertaining. Yeah, it was all good. Okay, and also, before we move on to the other 2 points of filmmaking, there's the Sega Movies intro that was at the beginning, which they wouldn't have a Sega Movies intro, a specially designed Sega Movies intro, not Sonic Movies intro, Sega Movies intro at the very beginning, like how Marvel Movies has the Marvel movie intro thing. They had something like that. They added a whole bunch of stuff showing a whole bunch of Sega games. They would not do that if they were only going to make one movie, or if they were only going to make Sonic movies. I definitely think that they might be making other movies based on old Sega games. This could mean a Shinobi movie or a Game Ground movie. The possibilities are limitless. So, the soundtrack in this movie, this is going to be the shortest segment, because, there's not much to say other than music good, but, and not much. I can't show you any of the music because, the soundtrack's not released yet, and that'll be in March. I'm definitely going to buy it in March. But this the soundtrack is the second most important part of any movie, in my opinion. Second only to what you'll see is number 1. The movie, it had an amazing soundtrack. The lyrical songs weren't as good as the instrumental songs, in my opinion. Like, some of the alt-punk songs were pretty good. I'm not a big fan of hip-hop or rap, so I wasn't as into those, but they still sounded pretty good. And other than that, the orchestra and all the instrumental music was amazing, like amazing. Also, there was only 2 remixes of old songs that I heard, and we'll talk about those in a second. And one thing I noticed was a lack of electric guitars, except in the one scene that's after the first half of the credits, but before the second half of the credits. I'll be talking about that scene towards the end of the video, so stay tuned. So, as I said, there are 2 remastered tracks in this thing. That's remastered songs from old Sonic games. Well, there's one from the original Sonic game. There's a piano version of Green Hill Zone partway through the movie. But also, the beginning of the movie, the intro, the very first scene, has a remastered version of the Sonic Mania intro music, so that's pretty cool. So, last but not least, the story, the most important part of any movie, and that's not my opinion, that is a fact. A movie is a way of telling a story, so the story is the most important part of a movie. So, to sum up the story, it's about Sonic being lonely and having no friends. So, that's pretty sad. And that was something that I could relate to, because I remember when I had no friends. We all remember a time in our lives when we were like that. But it's about Sonic and Tom growing closer together as friends on this adventure. And But what is the adventure? It's Eggman trying to get Sonic's powers, which in the end Eggman actually does succeed. Eggman gets the ability to fly super fast in his jet after Sonic. Eggman, and in the end, in the final scene before the credits, Eggman is shown with the thing of Sonic's power, the quill glowing with all the energy. So Eggman is still out there and has Sonic's powers. So, and that leaves it open to a sequel with Eggman still having those powers. And there's another reason for that there could be a sequel. As I mentioned before, a scene after the first half of the credits, but before the second half of the credits. And we'll get to that towards the end of this video, so stay tuned. But yeah, that is the story overall, and not much else to say. Like, it's a fairly simple story, just because there's only 3 main characters even. Sonic, Tom, and Eggman. Like, there are other stuff in the story that I'm not talking about, just because, like, it would take hours, because it took an hour and a half to tell the story in the theater, so I'm not going to say everything about the story. So next, let's move on to the next part of the story. It's the setting. That's an important part of the story, and the settings were all very cool. There was not Angel Island, South Island in the beginning of the movie, which looks like it was actually taking place in the Emerald Hill part of South Island, not Green Hill, because there's more trees and stuff. So that was pretty cool. There was the town of Green Hills, which was obviously a reference to Green Hill Zone. Like, everyone knew that was going to happen. There's Sonic's little cave thing that he goes into, that you see in the trailers. That really gave me classic Knothole vibes, you know, like when in the original comics where all the people would hide in the underground thing. It just kind of gave off vibes of that, and I really enjoyed that. Then there was San Francisco, which they obviously chose San Francisco to go to because of Sonic Adventure 2. That's what the Sonic Adventure 2 city is obviously supposed to be. And then there's other stuff, because there's warp. That's the main settings, but there's one scene where they're in a chase warping around. And I think they chose the places based on past Sonic stuff, like they go to a desert and run on a pyramid because of, like, I'm assuming they might have done that because of stuff in the, what's it called? Law of the past Sonic games that took place in deserts with pyramids and stuff. Then there's China, which they probably just chose China because Great Wall, stuff like that. But I did enjoy thinking about, hey, what if they did China because of that one stage in Sonic Unleashed? That'd be pretty cool, but they probably just did China just because, you know, China's a big place and has that big wall. But one scene in the setting there that I really like, there was they only spent like 2.5 seconds in it, France, and they run through Paris. There's a mime guy. And I do think they did go to France purely for a little callback to a character known as Antoine in the comic books, who was kind of like a French stereotype, except for not really. It wasn't a stereotype. He just said some French stuff and they wrote his words with a heavy French accent. And they had his character always say "Sacre bleu" about like everything that would happen, especially in the earliest comics. He said it a lot. So. And then the mime said "Sacre bleu" after Sonic and Eggman run by. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if they did it on purpose, but yeah, that's I really like that. I really like that. It was cool. So next, let's talk about the possibility of a sequel. Now, I already talked about Eggman getting away, and that was a huge possibility for a sequel. So that's open. I already mentioned the Sega Movies intro, so that's a possibility for a sequel. But there is one last thing that could be a sequel. That could be showing that they're gonna make a sequel. The scene between the first half of the credits and the second half of the credits. Because, no, there wasn't an after credits, they put it right in the middle of the credits. So, I bet you're wondering what that scene was.
Tails.
Yeah, I don't have footage from the movie, so I guess this will have to do. Yeah, Tails was the mid-credits scene.
Oh, yup. That's the mid-credit scene, Tails, which people have said in videos before, like when they're doing game reviews and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I want to pet the dog." I've never felt like that before, but after seeing realistic CGI Tails, I just want to feel the fur. But yeah. Realistic CGI Tails is now a thing, just like realistic CGI Sonic. And unlike Sonic, it didn't screw up the design on the first time, they did good on the first try, so CGI Tails, very good, and that's definitely going to be a sign that there's a sequel, because why introduce a character in a mid-credit scene if you're not going to have a sequel? So, I'll be looking forward to that, and yeah, can't wait to see what they have in store. So now, let's go over my final thoughts on the movie.
So I've always been a huge Sonic fan, as you can see by my not very impressive collection. But yeah, always been a huge Sonic fan, and I went into the movie theater with very, very, very high hopes. I had been hyping about the movie since 2016 when some of the rumors started, and I can safely say I was not disappointed. The movie delivered in every single way. It was an amazing movie, and all of you should watch it. But if you're watching to the end of this video, you should have already watched it, since I said not to watch the rest of the video unless you have watched the movie. So yep, great movie, and I'm gonna change cameras now.
Oh, yup, that's the movie. I think it was pretty good, and you should all watch it. It's, I think, my new favorite movie and my new favorite movie soundtrack of all time. And, yeah. Pretty great movie, and I'm not sure how to end the video. What was that noise?
Noise was me, Sonic. And definitely not a really bad impression. And I'm here to steal the end card. But not actually steal, because I don't know, just... whatever, I ran out of ideas. Okay, here, this is what you got. Okay, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, and look to your right if you want to see some epic Tobit videos. Okay? Okay. And the reason I'm doing this end card instead of an actual just picture like I used to is because YouTube's being weird about having pictures for the end card now, so yeah, whatever. Bye.